Okay, it says I'm live. And where did I put my drink? Where did I put my soda? Oh, man. I leave it in the truck. Hold on. I set it down somewhere. Where did I set my drink? Gosh, I can't do any work without my drink. Uh, How about it's behind my computer? I was lost. All righty. Hey, Zach. How are you down under? Hey, Jamie. Yeah. Whew. I'm about out of breath. I had to go get my drink. Hey, Joey. Ha. Yeah, you finally caught up with us again. Yeah, that I don't know if y'all observe daylight savings time down under, but that's what probably changes around there on you, Zach. I mean, we got daylight savings time. Yeah, warm weather. Yeah, I got the door open. Got the door open, and we've been. I've been working on the. Well, Jim has. Jim polished up my coupe. I got a car show to go to this afternoon, so we we've got that to do. And I was just decided to come up to the shop. Yeah. Hey, Ralph. Yeah, and we went on daylight. When was it? Last week? Week before? Last week, I think, wasn't it? I can't remember. But we're on daylight savings time now, and it makes us get up a little bit earlier. Whereas I'm glad. I mean, I like getting up early and getting started and having a longer afternoon. I mean, it's pretty good, I think. So I enjoy that. Yeah, we're well. Hey, Patrick. Well, I guess we could leave the time alone, Joy. I don't know. I don't. They're talking about making it one time year round, keeping daylight savings time year round over here. I don't know. Well, yeah, yeah. When you're retired, it's sort of like your calendar and everything else. Uh, every day is a Saturday, I guess you might say, in some ways. But it, I still try to keep the time up and do everything pretty much on a schedule. Still, even though I don't have to, but it feels good to get up and not have and knowing that you don't have to be somewhere. I mean that's a super good feeling. My wife and I were looking at our calendar, and we have no doctor's appointments or anything else this next week. I mean, unfortunately, at my age, that you gear yourself around doctor's appointments and either mine or my wife's or whatever. Uh, you have a lot of things to do. I got a endocrinologist. I got a cardiologist. I've got Friday. I went to see about my hearing aids, so I got an audiologist. I got everybody, and then also I had to go to a urologist. So every portal or hole in my body I've had examined lately. It seems like so. Whatever, whatever they can poke and prod and put something in. I've had that done lately. Oh yeah, and then my eyes too. See, I have to like I said, a audiologist for my ears, uh, a urologist for everything else. Then I got a cardiologist for my heart, and then I have uh, endocrinologist for my diabetes, Then I have, what am I leaving off? I'm leaving off something. And then my regular doctor too. I went to see him, and had some, blood work done the other week and everything just to make sure. But I guess all this is to ensure that Mikey can stay alive. So I'm gonna be like the Bee Gees. I'm gonna try to stay alive. Crime rate drops with daylight savings time, does it? I don't know. Oh God, you came down with lupus, Ralph? I hate to hear that. I tell you, I don't want to come down with anything else. I had COVID, last month, and it kind of got the best of me for several weeks. So I was coughing and wheezing and blowing up everything out of my nose, and just terrible. But I survived, so that's the main thing. I made it through. I'm trying to keep on keeping on and try to get a little bit better. So far, so good. I'm feeling healthier to a degree. Still short of breath and everything. I was walking back and forth this morning talking with my wife. I said I'm gonna have to sit down before I go out. I said I'm already tired, and was it Jim that told me to get the cans of oxygen? I can't remember. Anyway, I got some cans of oxygen that one of y'all told me. I have to go back and look, see who it was told me. Might have been Jim. But I got some cans of oxygen, and they really help a lot. And that's better than trying to get one of those portable canisters or whatever. So I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Hopefully the sun will come out. It's rained a little bit this morning. Hopefully the sun will pop out and I can take the coop out. I don't like to take it out and get it wet or anything if the roads are wet. But we're supposed to have a car show this afternoon. I got that and a soccer match to go to. My grandson, they're in a tournament and they're in the winners bracket. So he's got a good soccer match to go to. Sorry about that. Got a little choked. Just as I brag about getting better, I'm start coughing. But but anyway, lost my train of thought too. Like I said, I've got a busy day today for a Sunday and everything, but I'm so thankful that the weather is breaking and getting better. I'm very thankful for that, and hopefully we can get a few more things done in the shop. I don't know. You can see my 55 over there. We're working still working diligently on it. And I've got to keep the coop and my Mustang cleaned up. I'll have to show you the Mustang. I got it at the other shop, and we're putting both of them in a car show next week. I got some of these car shows that want me to they want me to enter my car and bring them. So I'm taking it uptown Cherryville. They've got a car show next week. They're redoing their main street. Well, they've redone the main street in downtown Cherryville, and they're doing a grand reopening of Main Street, and they're wanting to have a car show. So I'm involved with that, and I'm gonna have this car and my '68 convertible up there, and that sort of stuff. Any line borers? I don't know if anybody's a line borer or not. You need something line bored. I watch a guy that's over in either Australia or New Zealand and somewhere over there that does line boring and everything. A guy's really good. That he's got a welding shop over there, and he's forever putting fixing great big equipment and everything. I don't know. I can't remember what the guy's name is, Zach, but he always shows he's got a pit bull. He's got a pit bull dog, and he's always showing his bull dog in there. And but he's real good. I watched some of his work, and he's got some huge lathes. He's got some huge lathes, and he's a good welder. He's fixed all kind of stuff over there in Australia. I'm trying to think the name of that company, what he goes by, but he's on the internet. It might be Cutting Edge. It might be Cutting Edge. That sounds about right, Zach. But he's a young boy. Looks like he's in his, I'd say, mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, and sort of dirty blonde hair with a beard and everything. Slim boy, but he's really good. I really like his work. I watch him a lot. I was watching another one this morning, a guy that's similar to that over here in the U.S., and he was rebuilding a great big shear that somebody had messed up. Oh, you want to buy a line borer? Oh, okay, yeah. I gosh, I don't. You talk. I don't know what size you're trying to buy, but boy, that's an expensive setup, though, isn't it? I'd hate to think what some of these big line borers that people use. That, gosh, I bet they're $30,000 or $40,000. I don't know. I guess it depends on your size. Now I've got milling machines and stuff. We're trying to set up our milling machine. I'll turn this around. Over there, right past my plasma cutter, there's a milling machine that I bought a few years ago, but I don't have a line borer. That's above my pay grade and education, I guess you might say. So I don't have anything like that. I've got a lot of equipment. We just brought the bandsaw. I didn't even show you that. We brought the bandsaw. Jim did from the other shop. There's the bandsaw over there, and then the drill press behind it. But that's sort of what we have set up there. But let's see there. Like I said, you can see the milling machine a little bit better. That's a Grizzly GO755, I believe is what it says. But let me put this back here. But we're staying busy, and hey, Aaron, glad to see you. You finally found me on Facebook. I tried finding you on Facebook too. I don't know if I clicked on the right one or not. I thought I did. But yeah, Aaron finally found the right Michael Jones. Unfortunately, my name, there's about 5 million of us, I guess. I got one of the most common names around, Mike Jones. And but mine's on there as Michael S. Jones. But yeah, I'm glad to see Aaron finally found me. We connected there. But yeah, I've been trying to stay busy, trying to get better, trying to enjoy life here if we can. Is it raining on us again? Doggone, they say it's supposed to be clear today, but got a couple of little bit of showers coming through. I don't know if y'all can hear it off the tin roof here, but that's one good thing about having a metal shop. You know when it's raining almost immediately. You can hear it in the background. Hey, Ag Tech. How is it over there in Upper Canada? Glad to see you in here. I hadn't seen you in here in a while. I guess you've been staying busy. Yeah. Yeah, there's Zach. I got I got both sides of the coast and Australia. And the up above the 48th parallel. Oh me. Well, I hope everybody's doing good. I don't know what's on everybody's mind this morning. Cold up there. Well, you can see it's not cold here, Zach. I mean, Ag Tech. It's I think it's 50 something degrees, right? 50 or maybe 60 degrees this morning. So I'm having it pretty nice. I'm having it pretty nice. Good gracious. Tell you what, let me step off camera. I got to blow my nose again. Y'all can look at my coat. I didn't think y'all wanted to watch me blow my nose. Oh, Lordy. You know, you're waiting to drop your load in Texas. Well, hey, little cat. Got the little mama cat out there. She looked like she's about ready to have more kittens. Yeah, it's getting nice out here now. I'm really tickled with that. I'm glad the weather's changed and I can come up here to the shop and do the broadcast up here at the shop and enjoy it up here and everything. I like coming up here and doing the broadcast when I can. I got a great signal usually, and I like having that. Well, I mean, lately for me, Aaron, my wife and I, we've been out doing landscaping, and we're uh, every few years. Of course, every year my wife's always changing stuff up on her flowers and stuff like that. So I'm always doing something like that. But she wanted some major stuff done today, this year. So I went in. I took out a couple of crepe myrtle trees that she wanted removed. They were looking kind of bad, and we some other small trees, and I I, I took down some bad old rose bushes and some just a lot of different things. Some azaleas too that had really gotten overgrown. So she's wanting to resculpture, I guess, the side of a bank that we got. Uh, if I'd had time, I would have filmed some of that, but she was wanting it done, and I was jumping from one piece of equipment to another, so I didn't have time to really set up cameras. And I'm gonna start doing that. I bought me another GoPro, so I'm gonna try to get some of these things filmed and everything. I'm not quite as good as some of these guys of getting out and filming stuff. I do this on Sunday morning because it's basically set up the camera, make sure everything's looking good, and go for it. And that makes it kind of easy. And that's what I'm up again. Yeah. What have you been fixing, Ag Tech? You all this stuff getting ready to go back into production, I guess, and everything on the farms. You've probably been doing a lot of preventative maintenance and everything for everybody. Of course, a lot of them probably wait till it breaks. I always hate to see the guys wait till it breaks. Um, we were big on preventative maintenance here in our shop, and the guys that bought me out, they were just the opposite. They were wait till it breaks type people. They would run something till it broke and then try to fix it. And It's very costly that way. You you spend twice as much, having to go out and doing a road trip and everything, or three times as much on road trips and everything else. But I I've always been a preventative maintenance guy, and we worked hard on our trucks with preventative maintenance. Jim could attest to that if Jim were here. Yeah, yeah. My wife does a real good job in the garden and everything, Aaron. She's got a very pretty yard, and I have to work hard. Of course, it gives me a chance to buy new tools and everything. So I always say, well, if we had this tool, we could do this and that sort of stuff. So uh, it gives me an excuse to buy more stuff. Uh, of course, I've got a lot. I'm very fortunate that over the years that my wife has been very agreeable on these things and has let me buy a lot of tools and stuff. So we've got a lot of tools that I've collected over the past 50 years, and and it's and now that I'm in the retirement part of my life, it's pretty nice that I can sit back and relax with that, and I don't have to buy tools. I just like my wife says, you don't have to buy the tools. You just got to remember where the heck you put those tools, and that's true sometimes. Jim and I both have run into that, and Jim was doing something the other, and that's the reason we have the bandsaw over here. He was doing something the other day, and he says, "Oh, wait a minute," he said, "we got a bandsaw at the other shop." So he went over to the other shop and picked up the bandsaw and brought it over here, and we're kind of got it arranged over here. We had so much equipment between the two shops, you almost forget what you got sometimes. And um, I'd gone out and bought something a few weeks ago, and Jim says, we got one of those somewhere. And I said, I know, but I don't know where it's at. And then sure enough, you go buy it, and then that's when you find it. Hey, Chris, how are you today? Yeah, talking shop today. Inside the shop, talking shop. Yeah, you got to do PMs, that's for sure. Well, Chris, I see that little girl. She's about ready to take over the business, isn't she? She was up there working on that old truck, wasn't she? Yeah. Chris had his picture of his daughter on Facebook the other day on top of looked like about a 48 Chevy. I can't remember, but she looks like she was ready to take over the place. Yeah, I think it is. As you can tell, it's wet outside right now. It's we got a burst of a couple showers this morning. Was that what it was? 46 International. Hey, I thought it was around a 46, 48, something like that. We used to have we had a 48 Chevy and we had a 37 Chevy too. But yeah, I thought that was around a 48 or something. Hey, Walter. Well, I know it. Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes it's easier just to go to the hardware store. I mean, we were looking for some bolts the other day, and I told Jim the hardware store is not but about a mile from my house and shop here. So I said, heck, before we spend an hour trying to find what we want, I can go down there and spend $5 and I have what I want. So I end up doing that a lot of times. Now we keep a good collection, and you try to organization is the tough thing, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I kid my wife and everything. I said, you know, I've got the one shop that we're doing nothing in it. We don't have any trucks or cars. Well, I got the car stored in it, but it's sort of a shame. I've got that 10,000 square foot building, that I'm not doing anything with, and other than storage, and it should be used. I'm thinking about putting a couple more garage doors on it, and that way it'd be a five bay garage uh, on that one side. And from what I'm gathering, I could probably get some good rental money out of it. You know, it being 10,000 square feet and you know, nice warm closed, fairly new shop. It's only about when I built it, about I built it about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, and it uh it would accommodate a lot of people. Oh, I know, I know it's tough. It's tough, and that's one reason I hadn't rented anything. I like my stuff being just for me. Yeah. Yeah, I think Zach's been pretty busy. I hadn't seen him on here in a while. Of course, it's turning, oh, me, I guess it's turning the fall of the year for you, isn't it, Zach? You're just coming out of summer and coming into the fall of the year. You're exactly opposite from us. Yeah. Yeah. Probably still pretty warm down there right now, though, isn't it? Toward the end of the summer for you. Well, I guess it is. Summer's already passed since equinox because we just went into spring. We went into spring this past week on the 21st. So you went in out of summer into fall this last week, I guess. Yeah. Just starting to cool down, huh? Well, we're getting into I love spring. Uh, Spring's a beautiful time of the year over here, especially here in the South and everything. So I love springtime weather down here. I mean, like I said, I'm already, t-shirt weather for me, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And we can get out and do some things, and that's what we did last week. Barbara and I were out working in the yard and working on the equipment, and mowing, and then I had the boy that's helping me with my pasture. He came by and fertilized the pasture, and so we did that, and so we've got a lot of things going on. I need to, like I said, I wish I had time to film some more stuff, uh, and I'm gonna try to take some more time to film some stuff and show y'all what we're actually doing out here because we're doing a lot of things. I've gotten up here a couple times and I've got some videos of Jim doing some stuff. I need to edit that and put that online. Uh, I had to do that before Jim cuts his hair. He cuts his hair once a year, so he's at the end of his term on his long hair right now. I imagine when he's getting ready. I don't know if he enjoys the longer hair with this motorcycle or without, but he's been driving his Harley to work a couple times. I had to show you all that. He's got a real pretty Harley, and he's been driving that back and forth to work. I told him, I said, yeah, when you went home for lunch the other day, I said that Harley followed you back over here to the shop. He drove it back to work after, and in the mornings it's still a little bit chilly sometimes. So I think he just waited, and of course he said he had all his stuff in his pickup, so he couldn't drive the Harley in the other day. So, but he drove it 1 or 2 days this week. I can't remember, but it's a pretty machine, and Jim really likes it. He says that really relaxes him. Oh yeah, you got that's why we're getting the coop out and all your all these cars like this, you got to run them a little bit. I mean, I don't want to just stuff them back in a corner and look at them. I I enjoy them. I like getting them out. I mean, I mean, it's not a perfect car. I mean, there's things that need, aren't showroom quality, but it's like I said, I think it's a pretty car, and I enjoy it. I'll take you around it a little bit here. I mean, I think it's a pretty car. Like I said, we got a nice, pretty chrome grill and everything, and I enjoy it. And we got Jim did a real good job on the interior and everything. I don't know if you can tell it as much as it's all black, so we got a button and touch interior. Oops, let me turn that around. But I enjoy. Oh yeah, I've drove the Mustang. I drove it a couple of months ago. I haven't driven it. We cranked it up and moved it around a little bit, but it's been to. I've had the top down on it for the last couple of months. I didn't want to put the top back up because the top is getting old, and I didn't want to put it up and down and up and down. So I've got it down, got the bonnet on it. So when I have the bonnet on it, I don't like to, put it up and down so much. So I'm gonna drive it up to the show next Saturday and have it and this car displayed, and hopefully have some fun with it like that. Yeah, everything's doing fine on. We rewired this car. That was one thing that was sort of shabby on it. The wiring was not really in good shape, and Jim rewired the entire car, and and we got everything fine. Yeah, I had a short on it. The way the alternator was, it actually had a bolt that broke and fell down against the frame and shorted out my wires and everything. We had a little bit of a car fire. I mean, it didn't blaze up, but it smoked it and um, melted some wires and everything. But uh, you know, after that happened, I told Jim, let's take our time and wire it up right. And Jim's got it braced up good, and everything seems to be in good shape now. Uh, but those kind of things happen. Anytime you got an old car like that, you gotta watch it and make sure everything's just right. And that's what we're doing with the 55. I mean, we're definitely taking our time with the 55 and making sure everything's right on it. I went and got some insulation for the roof. I mean the hood. Well, I guess the top. Because I definitely want that insulated as good as I can because boy, it's like an oven in there if you don't have a lot of insulation. We got all that Dynamat in there and like I said, then the insulation too. And it sounds a lot quieter. I bet it sounds a lot quieter than it did when they bought it new in 55. Because that sedan delivery wasn't anything fancy in 55. I hate to think. I wonder how much that thing costs new. I would probably imagine. Oh, I don't know. It's probably cost $1,500-$1,600 new. Maybe I doubt it was $2,000. I mean, cars. It was rare. I don't know what a 55 sedan delivery would have cost. It might have been over $2,000. It just depends. Yeah. Well, I don't have an 8-track, but I got the Beach Boys. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, everything's Bluetooth nowadays. Yeah. Yeah, I just hook up my Bluetooth and I've got my Sirius XM that I got on my phone because I got it in several cars, but I got it on my phone. I got the phone app for it. So all I had to do is click that and it goes right into this one. Plus, I got a SD card. I got SD cards on there too. I can turn on all the music I want to, and I can play the Beach Boys and the Righteous Brothers and Temptations and all my good '60s music. Yeah, yeah. I use Spotify a little bit, and then I've got Pandora too. I got a subscription to Pandora. I got a lot of my own files saved and everything, and it's pretty neat. And I've got that, and like I said, but I got Sirius XM too. And once you have the subscription, you can move it over to other vehicles, which that's one thing I do like. And if you got that CarPlay, I got CarPlay on a couple things, then you can just punch it in just like like it's a factory radio almost. I'm thinking about actually putting one of those CarPlay radios in the 55. Don't know. Yeah, that's the only thing about Spotify and some of those. They want you to listen to what they want you to listen to and not what you actually want to listen to. So that's the reason I go ahead and just use my subscription. Yeah, I stopped the radio show when I sold my Napa store. Uh, that was a lot of work. I mean, I was spending 6 or 8 hours a week just on the radio show to produce a 2 hour radio show. It was taking me 6 or 8 hours. I mean, I was having to research all the different music and I enjoyed it, but you enjoy it, and then after a while, it kind of gets to be a little bit of a drudgery. If I still had the incentive and I needed, I was getting good advertisement off of it, but when I sold the Napa store, I didn't need the advertisement anymore. The people that bought me didn't want to keep it up, so I decided to go ahead and stop that. I mean, the guy that owned the radio station, he asked me would you mind keeping it and keep running? And I said, well, I would if I felt like I had the time. I just felt like my time would be a little more valuable, and I'm glad I stopped. I mean, it's one of those things you can do it for your enjoyment for a while, but I wasn't getting paid anything for it, so and I kind of value my time. Whether I'm doing anything at home or just sitting around with the wife or whatever, it's what I wanted to do. And I mean, although we enjoyed, we would get she and I would get out there in our car and actually cruise around and go do some sightseeing and listen to it on the FM and to see how the show sounded. And I had a lot of people that uh, wanted to know what happened and wished I'd kept it going. They were kind of regular listeners, and but with my health issues that I've had over the past couple of years and that sort of stuff, it just felt like it was time to call it quits on that. I mean, it was good timing. Uh, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it to a point, but it was work. It was work. I mean, you sit down and you've got to come up with something unique every week. So once you have to do all the research and do something unique, and then have all your notes and everything lined up, it can be a little bit of work. And so I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So that's the reason that I preferred to go ahead and quit doing it because you know I wasn't going to just haphazardly just spin a few records and call it quits every day. I mean, if I was going to do it, I was doing it like I started out to be. It was an informative oldies show. You know what I mean? I mean, I would have some historical features about it, and I told some trivia and a lot of different things like that. So it was a fun time from when I had it, but it 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 is what it is, and it was. So that's sort of the way that was, Chris. But you know, it was just another chapter in my life, you might say. And right now, you know, I've uh, hey DL, how are you? Yeah, it's just a different chapter in your life, and what I decided to do, which I hadn't done as much as I wanted to, but I wanted to improve my YouTube channel and put the effort into it, and I'm doing that gradually, and things like that. But primarily, my health has been my biggest issue for the past couple of years. I mean, y'all have chronicled the uh, my history of my health problems. And, you know, as we age, we're going to have more and more. And I'm just happy to be around, being able to chat with everybody and enjoy, you know, listening and seeing what y'all are doing and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. You've been along for the ride for many a year, Chris, and I appreciate it. A lot of y'all have. You, Jamie, Joey, Zach, uh, uh, um, gosh, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind here. Yeah, but a lot of you guys have Walter, uh, and I had to almost scroll back. Yeah, of course, Ag Tech up there in Canada, and you know, and then Patrick, and just a lot of you guys. Y'all have been very faithful guys, and uh, you know, come every week and you know, or most every week, you know, when you can, and I appreciate that. I hope y'all are enjoying what I'm doing, and I try to make it as enjoyable as an old man can do. I mean, sometimes I may get too political. Sometimes I may get on a rant and rave about some things I don't like. I usually try to be positive. I like being positive like today. I think, you know, I've come up with some very positive things that are making me happy. The shop up here, I enjoy what we're doing up here, and we enjoy this. And, you know, I look around and you know, it sometimes amazes me what we've got and what we've gotten done, and you know what we've been able to obtain, um, and it's just years of work, and that's it, plain and simple. I mean, uh, it scares me how quickly that the years have clicked off. I mean, right now, I mean, I put in 34 years at FedEx, and it doesn't seem like it was. It seems like it was almost yesterday. And I mean, when I look back in the history of things, I was watching something about the Eagles, and Don Henley was talking about they're celebrating their 50th year. And I'm thinking, God, the Eagles, 50 years. I said, that's hard to believe. I said, I remember when the Eagles were the new band in town, you know, and I mean, I was already out of high school and married and everything else by the time the Eagles came around. And so it's, time flies. Time marches on. Time flies, and it just, you know, all you guys just take take your time and enjoy every bit of life that you can, because it's going to slip by real quick. I mean, I've lost I lost another classmate this week. We had a boy I went to high school with, and well, really almost neighbors down here too for a long time. It just it's something. Every time I turn around, I lose a classmate, and I'm sort of like I'm sort of like Yogi Berra. It's talking about. I saw Reggie Jackson talking about Yogi Berra. He said all the Yankees, they were celebrating the Yankees and everything at Yankee Stadium, and all of them were out there, the old timers, and that they were going through and talking to them and everything. And on the big board behind them, they well, the Yogi and Reggie could see it. They were putting a list of all the players that had passed on, and I'm sort of like Yogi. He was shaking his head, and Reggie said, "What you doing? What you doing?" He said, "I'm just looking at the name list of those names up there." He said, "I hope I'm not out here one day and I see my name up there." So, so I guess I'm like Yogi. I don't want to look up here and see my name as one of the deceased either. Uh, but Yogi had some good sayings. I remember uh, he always said that he had to be sure and go to his friends' funerals because if he didn't, they probably wouldn't come to his. And so that's sort of the same along the same lines, you know. But I like listening to old sayings that Yogi Berra said. He had some funny ones. Oh man. What is the cost of maintaining a fleet of Freightliner trucks versus Kenworth trucks? Well, they're both trucks. I The reason I like Freightliner, and I'm just putting it plain and simple. Freightliners are like the Chevrolet of the car business. The Chevrolet or the Ford. Uh, they're a good vehicle. They've got everything you want. They got all the conveniences you want, but without the premium price. The problem you get into with Kenworth and some of the other Kenworth and Peterbilt, and they like to, if there's something wrong with the truck has a premium price on the repair. I don't know why. I mean, I had some Kenworths, and you'd go to buy a part for the Kenworth, and the same part on a Freightliner. I mean, it would be 10, 15, 20% higher for the same part. I mean, I'm talking about like body parts and stuff like that. If you had a door handle, it would cost more as a Kenworth there. All that. That's been my assessment of that. I mean, not to say that they're not all high. I mean, there's none of them cheap. I mean, I've got a room full of used Freightliner parts in there right now that I'd like to sell. It's just it is what it is. And my situation too, I always like keeping a fleet of the same kind of trucks because if you're buying a part for one, it's going to fit all the other fleet. And the other thing is too, if you start having trouble of a certain part, you can kind of know to buy a couple extra because you'll probably have it with some of the other trucks. I mean, they're all going to kind of wear out the same. I mean, if you got, like we used to go through a lot of the rubber hood latches for the Freightliners. I mean, we'd go through a ton of them. And I'd probably have, 8 or 10 of those in the back there because we were always breaking them. It was a necessary thing to have. And, the guys would break them. They'd stretch them or the rubber would just get, the elasticity on the rubber would give out and it'd break. So that's what we did. And once I could buy it in bulk too. I mean, anytime you can buy something in bulk, you can get a little bit better price. So, if I'm going out and I'm buying 10 of something, I'm getting a lot better price per unit than I was if I go out and buy one of something. And that's what I did a lot of times, DL. I mean, uh, I usually would keep stuff like that. Plus, in my case, because we had a Freightliner manufacturer in this area, and the dealership would go out and get a lot of times they would go buy the surplus stuff from the manufacturer and then turn around and sell it to me at a cheaper price. They would have. I went to some of those surplus sales a couple times, and I'd go buy, 8 or 10 of this or that or whatever. Uh, we would buy a lot of surplus items that came from the manufacturer, and and I came out pretty good like that. So, that was my advantage of living in this area and maintaining something like that, because, like I said, every time I had Peterbilt or Kenworth or Mack, well, Mack wasn't too bad, so, but the Kenworths and the Peterbilts, I always seem to be paying a premium for their parts. So I didn't like that. I mean, they were nice looking pieces of equipment. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoy driving them sometimes, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, yeah. I had to have a commercial account, and and I got good rates. I can't complain about that, because I had good purchasing power, and I paid. Uh, I was on a 20-day. I paid every 20 days on my notes, so I paid up good. And if you pay good and you're buying a lot, your parts guys will give you a good price. I mean, I had a parts guy that Jeff, that used to come out here all the time, and my mechanics, they loved him, and he was good, and he would come up with some bargain stuff for me, and but they always got something that either their parts house pushes or whatever, says sell more of this or sell more of that, and that's their agenda. And if you take if you're able to take advantage of that on a commercial end, and uh, have a fairly large account, I mean, that's where volume pays off. Uh, Now, getting rid of volume after you close down, now that's a whole different story. I've got brake. I still have brake shoes over there, and brake chambers and airbags, and I probably have $50,000 worth of parts sitting right over here, and that sort of stuff. But I'll eventually get rid of it. Uh, once I closed it down, between that and my Napa store, I've got probably I don't know, if you were to retail it out, a good $150,000 worth of parts that I need to sell. Of course, these things have been marked off the books, and pretty much, we had to take a loss on them and everything. So it is what it is, and uh, it's one of those things that you do in business. And like I said, eventually, if my children don't sell it off cheap, I'll be fine. Um, well, that's sort of a loaded question, DL. It's hard to say. It depends on the type business are you going into. Are you going into a regional type trucking business, a long haul trucking business? Um, are you doing more P&D work? There's too many factors. I mean, I couldn't give you I could sort of give you a ballpark idea, but I mean, that's a tough one to answer. Uh, I mean, you kind of have to make a decision on what you want to do yourself with whatever you're coming up against. So, I mean, do you need sleeper trucks? Do you need day cab trucks? Uh, do you need tandems? Do you need single axles? There's a lot of variables there. Well, there is no standard over the road operation. I mean, that's what I'm getting at, DL. I mean, when you say standard over the road, that's an oxymoron. Uh, there is no standard. I mean, there were 50 contractors in Charlotte, and we all ran our businesses a little bit different because, some of us had a more functional regional runs, and some of them had California runs. I never had California. Well, I did have California once or twice, but I never wanted that kind of run. So I didn't gear myself up for one going from here to California and back. I mean, if you're talking about that type, it's a different setup. You're going to have a pretty good piece of equipment, and if you get something that's got too high mileage, then you're probably going to have a lot of maintenance. You can afford to have more maintenance with a more regional type setup. So these are the things that it's hard to explain unless you've actually done it. And when you said, you're saying a standard, there is no standard. There's a lot of variables there. That's just like saying, that's sort of like when my mother used to, we used to drive us crazy as kids. She'd say, yeah, one of your friends came by to see you, and we'd say, well, who was it? She said, well, I didn't get his name. We said, what kind of car was he driving? And she would say, it was a white car or a black car. That's what my mother was. We'd say Ford, Chevy, whatever, what kind, what year model. My mother said, I don't know. So, excuse me. Swallowed it, went down the wrong side. But to every person that's in the trucking business is going to have a little bit of variation. So there's really not a generic way of looking at that. So, it's a tough question. All right. You want sleeper? Well, what kind of routes are you going to be running, DL? Are you going to be running 2 or 3 states, all across the United States, up and down the East Coast, West Coast? All those are a different factor. If you're going to be running the East Coast, you're going to have to, gear up for something that's going to have to deal with the snow and stuff like that, and salt and snow and all the things that. Here comes the rain again. I don't know if y'all can hear that through the microphone, but the rain's coming again here. Then what? Let me shut my door. That's getting a little bit breezy. Oh me. Yeah, it's getting a little bit. I had a little bit of air going through there. Yeah, I got my Dodge out there. Yeah, it's got the big Cummins in it. Yeah, it's a nice little service truck. That's the one we kept. We sold. We had 2 service trucks we sold. We sold a GMC we had and a Ford we had. You like the Midwest and the South? Well, where's going to be what's your base deal? Where are you located at? Well, I my first driver was a good friend of mine. So I mean that's how that started. And then it grew from there. I just like everybody else, I'd find different drivers or drivers would find me. I mean, I used to have drivers that would apply a lot. I mean, I had to turn drivers away. And so it's a different market than it used to be. I mean, it used to be that I mean, like I said, I rarely had for a number of years there. I didn't even have to put an ad in the paper or anything. I mean, drivers would just come, would find out about my operation, and just come and put in an app, and word of mouth got out, for me, and so I was pretty lucky there for a number of years. I mean, uh, and then the last few years, it got to be dog eat dog. So many people, I don't know, it's like it was a switch was like somebody threw a switch, and then all of a sudden, drivers were jumping from contractor to contractor and company to company, and it just really in the past 4 or 5 years got to be a real headache to get drivers. And I used to never, like I said, I used to never have a problem getting drivers. So the dynamics of that have changed a lot. I don't know why. I can't really tell you, give you a definitive answer. I mean, driver jobs used to be a premium. It used to be that was something that everybody wanted to have a good job. I mean, at Carolina Freight, a company that I worked for and my dad worked for 38 years, it was hard to get a job there. I mean, there were people waiting in line for openings of driving jobs and that sort of stuff. So it's the dynamics of the truck driving has really changed in the past few years. I mean, now they're out recruiting drivers, and people are not wanting to drive like they used to. I don't understand why, because it's a great paying job, but people don't want to be a truck driver anymore. It's a tough job. I mean, it has its good points and bad points. But it is what it is. I mean, it's just uh, you can. Whew, um, like I said, it's hard to. I would hate to have to be starting a trucking business from scratch like I did right now. I mean, it was a lot easier back in '89. I can tell you that, '87, '89. Um, yeah, I mean, the industry itself has changed. There's a lot of, like I said, we got electronic logs now. We have, the hours of service have changed. There's just a lot of dynamics of the trucking business that the government, as usual, sticks their nose into something and screws it up, and that's happened in the trucking business also. So I mean, there's a lot of government interference, you might say, that has happened over the years and really not helped us in any way, shape, or form. But you have to take it with a grain of salt, I guess. I mean, things changed. I mean, I remember when we used to have what they called it was the ICC, the Interstate Commerce Commission, and they more or less have done away with that, and everything's DOT, Department of Transportation, and they've changed the rules and the regulations and uh, all kind of things. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Well, and you might do ag tech. I mean, it is. It's crazy how everything's so. eh, I mean, it's my wife and I were looking at when I first started with FedEx or RPS way back there. I mean, like I said, my contract was only 2 pages. By the time when we retired and sold out, it looked like War and Peace. I mean, the contract itself was humongous, and then we had all the regulations, and we it went from it's sort of crazy when RPS started it. I don't know if y'all remember, they had barcodes on the side of their their emblem is actually had barcodes built in, and their thing was they were going to make it paperless. Well, they went from making it barely just a little bit of paper to a huge amount of paper. I mean, we had more paper than we killed a lot of trees with all the paper we had to deal with by the time we ended up as contractors, because we had form after form, and there was more regulation, and then this CSA, and just on and on and on. The government kept piling things on that we had to be regulated with, and now they all these regulations have made it tough on getting drivers and even being a contractor. It's tough. A lot of paperwork, a lot of regulations out there. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Aaron, that's what I'm talking about. And a lot of these people are getting secondary jobs or leaving the industry and going out and working for private industry because they can do a good job of keeping people in compliance. I mean, staying in compliance is a tough thing right now. And I would hate to have my wife and I were just talking about the other day that just the stress of the paperwork that I put her through was tough. I mean, I sort of had it somewhat easier. I mean, I dealt with the drivers and the equipment. She didn't like that part. I didn't like the paperwork part. So we were a good match. Uh, I mean, I got to the point that I despised any kind of paperwork. And my wife being a retired school teacher, she was good with that. Her and my daughter, they would keep everything and make me stay in compliance. Whereas there was a lot of contractors that wouldn't stay in compliance because they couldn't keep up with their paperwork. I mean, paperwork just got to be crazy. Well, the small businesses are having a tough time. Even big business are having a big hard time. I mean, I'm seeing this woke society we got out there right now is changing the dynamics of a lot of things. I was noticing that in the state of Oregon, Cracker Barrel restaurants are closing down all their restaurants in Oregon because of the woke people they have to deal with, and people, I guess, hiring waitresses or whatever. I don't know. And then just having to deal with the customers out there right now is just crazy. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we've got to get away from this woke society right now. I don't know how we're going to change all that. We got too many crazy people that don't realize how things are made. They don't realize how things are produced or transported, all kind of things like that. They're trying to kill off the industrial complex, and just it's really bizarre. It's real. I mean, if they had to, I mean, we got these woke people, and I'm gonna keep using that phrase because that's about the best way you can describe them. That they have no concept. Uh, I mean, they do everything the easy way, and they have no concept that there's people actually out there doing real work to give them services. I mean, they're getting all these services and they take advantage of all the services, but they don't realize there's people out there, you know, that are putting up power poles. They're putting, running the power, running the cable. Uh, there's people transporting food and product everywhere. I mean, everything has its place, and those are real people doing real work. And then you have all these woke people that want to sit behind a computer and do nothing but computer work or something similar, or get out and protest and be. Yeah, but the keyboard people right now that we have in our society that do nothing but keyboard work have little or no concept about real work. They don't know what a shop is. They don't know what, people have to get out and actually do real work, pick up real items, move things. They want everything moved and brought to them and then complain. And that's what we've got, a real lazy type situation with, I would say young people, but it's not just young. It's young and middle class and middle age. And I mean, it's a mentality more than it is age, I think. I mean, you've got woke older people and everything too. I mean, you got people in their 40s and 50s, I think, that are woke. But we're I'm fearful for my grandson and my son and daughter too, and what they're going to have to put up with after I'm gone. Because I mean, I just I don't know. My wife and I both were talking about that the other day. It's scary, and of course, my dad. I remember my dad saying something similar. He was always fearful of what the world was going to become, and it has gradually gotten worse and worse and worse. And I do get I do get upset seeing how bad that some of these things are turning. Yeah. Well, we got plenty of crazies, that's for sure, Aaron. I mean, we have some. I don't know. It just it really bothers you when you sit down and think about it. Well, I don't want to quit on a sad note, but I'm going to have to get out of here. I've got to get some things going. And the rain seems to have stopped, and I think I'm gonna stop and head on back down to the house. I've enjoyed talking with everybody this morning and all that. What's the DL got here? Oh, I mean, see, that's another thing. I mean, that's part of the woke society. We got a woke administration right now, and all that sort of stuff. All right, guys, I'll see you. I'm gonna head on back down to the house. Y'all take care. I'll try to get on here a few more times this week if I can. I've got a few things in the works. Maybe I can I might put Miss Barbara on the videos. You never know. Get a view of her out there working in the yard. Y'all take care. I'll catch you later.